Hello and welcome to another episode of Pictures Without Pictures. I am here and Reese is also here and everybody is here and we're going to talk about Pokémon Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution. Not the original one, not the one that the wallpaper engine is based on. There were no new wallpaper engine ones for the new one. But it is this movie, but they remade it in 3D. I'm so good at introductions. Reese, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, friend?
I am off the ball because I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla for the last 3 hours, and then I was like, "Oh shit, I gotta get a podcast ready."
I've been sleeping, so
Reese has
not
been sleeping.
doing much better.
I hope everyone is ready for a stellar podcast. No, it'll be great. We'll have good times. We'll talk about heartbreak and devastatingly heartbreaking moments within our happy young adult anime films. Hi. So yeah, I never. I guess we should talk about history of Pokemon because I never watched the movie, the original. The whole point of this is that you have seen the original, but I have not. So we're both watching the remake version, and I get to say what it's like from my perspective as someone who's watching it for the first time, and you get to see what it's like from the perspective of someone who knows what the original one looks like. Or what the original movie was like, full stop. So that's cool, I think. And I have a lot of questions for you about that as well. But I kind of like the 3D animation art style. I know it gets a lot of hate.
Sorry about that.
Oh, I didn't even know you were gone. I was just rambling to myself then.
Oh, I did say vamp for a minute.
Oh, I didn't even hear you.
No worries.
I was just talking about how we're doing the thing where I've seen it, just the remake, and you've seen the original and the remake now, so that we can kind of compare on that. But I was saying we should talk about our history of Pokemon. In that, when I was a kid, I never really got to watch the Pokemon anime. It was always on like either a channel we didn't have, or it was on at the wrong time or something. So the rare time that I got to see Pokemon was like a treat. So I've never been hugely into the anime, but I am hugely into the games, and I love the Pokemon world, and I thought, maybe I won't watch through the anime, but I'll start with the films. So this was a cool thing for me personally to have watched, and I won't spoil the entire podcast, but I think it was a pretty good film. Reese?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
He enjoyed it. Okay, that's a podcast, everyone. I'm going back to Assassin's Creed Valhalla now. No, I'm joking. But yeah, what did you think of the new animation style as opposed to the original one?
Well, the original was like the traditional 2D animation, which when you watch as much anime as we have, it does all look very, very samey.
Yeah.
So it was very refreshing and very good to see something like that look like that and look very unique, whilst also still maintaining the designs of everything, like the keeping it like as close to the original as possible, and they look amazing. Okay, Molly.
Sorry.
That's fine.
You saw that?
No, I'm doing it, Molly. Molly, I'm doing a podcast. If you hear random background noise, Molly's watching a movie. So.
What movie's Molly watching? We should do that on Pictures of Pictures.
What's the movie called, Molly?
Red.
It's called Red.
Red. Never heard of it.
It's a DC movie, I think.
It's about retired agents that are now on a kill list.
There you go.
Oh.
Very different to what we're talking about right now.
We're talking.
All right, Molly.
But yeah,
Sorry, okay.
It's fine.
It's fine, Molly.
Sorry,
It's fine. But I've completely lost my train of thought.
This podcast got more interesting, if anything.
It immediately got more interesting, yes.
Finally, it's not just two dudes talking about movies.
There's a random third disembodied voice coming from my mic.
Who have you kidnapped? God damn it.
I've kidnapped no one. She's here willingly.
So anyway, yeah, and so I played the games when I was a kid, and I always thought Mewtwo was really cool. When I caught my first Mewtwo, I called him Mayuri after a Bleach character, because I was like, oh, he was made with science. Mayuri is kind of a mad scientist in Bleach, but it doesn't really fit now that I know more about both of those worlds. But I always thought Mewtwo was pretty cool. I didn't realize how much of a villain he was going to be in this movie. He's totally a villain for like 99% of a movie. So there's that. So I wanted to ask you if the film opens in the same way as the original one does.
See, I don't remember too well because I watched this film when I was very young. But I do remember a lot of like the major sort of plot points and stuff, and a lot of it, as far as I can remember, is very similar to how it plays out, including like a lot of like the visual details as well.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure for the most part the setup is relatively similar, except from all of the Mewtwo stuff at the beginning.
Yes, that's what
I'm
I was
pretty sure
about.
that's not. I'm pretty sure that's not in the original. You don't see Mew until like when he shows up at the very sort of end as well.
It just seems a bit random how suddenly he's joined Team Rocket and they've put all of this armor on him and all of this kind of random stuff. I was like, was this really
strange
part of the original? I like it had this vibe to me of like something that they added on at the start to maybe try and sell another toy if we're gonna get cynical about it.
Maybe, but like I feel like it was just trying to make it more relevant in the sort of world.
Yeah, I guess.
think with like Team Rocket being a thing, because Team Rocket, aside from obviously the usual suspects popping up in the movie, that's all you see of Team Rocket. You don't see anything else outside of that. Mewtwo's just kind of like, he just kind of shows up. I think there's like at least some like context stuff at the beginning for it, but
yeah,
that's about it.
Well, I can tell you that whatever the original movie did with Mewtwo, it's a damn sight more story than he has in Pokemon Red, where some dude's just like, oh hey, you're the champion? Alright, I'll let you go in this cave now. By the way, there's a really powerful legendary Pokemon in there. Go catch it. That's about the extent of the story. Oh, actually, no, it's not, because you've got all the stuff in the mansion about Mewtwo, haven't you, and how he's... But still, that's like, you have to go out your way to figure it out and add it all together. I don't know. It's been a while since I played the game. But yeah, so I thought the new 3D style was very cute. I liked it a lot, and like you said, all the Pokemon still have, like, Mewtwo still looks like Mewtwo. They didn't do anything weird there. But the Mecha Mewtwo thing especially just felt weird. Like, it had no dramatic pacing. Like, the movie was just like, okay, start, go, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this. By the way, Ash Ketchum. It was like, whoa, slow down.
It's weird as well. Like, I feel like a lot of the intro stuff, when he's like battling everyone and stuff, there was like little references here and there I noticed as well. They reference Red and Blue, as in the characters. Obviously, they're sort of typical names are Red and Blue.
Yeah.
But there's moments where you sort of see their characters when they're doing like all the battles and stuff with Mewtwo.
Huh.
There's a little reference like that, which I thought was cool.
Oh yeah, because when he's with Team Rocket, don't they? They bring people into battle. And I think yeah, you see Blue, don't you? Although I thought it was Gary.
You see Red as well. You see Red as well.
Interesting.
But I think Garyoke and Blue are very similar looking. Or supposed to be. I think Garyoke's supposed to be based on Blue.
Yeah, he is. Thing is, I haven't really watched much of the anime, so I don't know if Red and Blue even exist in that universe, or if they even really bother having a coherent universe.
I don't think so, because I think obviously Blue was transformed into Gary, and then Red is supposed to be Ash. So, but
they're just like crappier versions.
Red and Blue are like faceless versions almost.
Yeah.
They're kind of just the template. But yeah.
So I saw this movie a week ago now, so I don't necessarily remember everything beat by beat, but I do like that my fourth note is just, fuck yeah, Bulbasaur. So I'm assuming we see a Bulbasaur somewhere towards the beginning.
That'll be when Ash has battle with that random dude that turns up and he's like, you're that dude, let's battle.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I'm a random dude. Let's do a Pokemon battle. And Ash is like, hell yeah, this is the way my life works. Every day is an adventure. And his friends are like, oh, Ash, you couldn't even set the table, you lazy boy, but now you're doing a Pokemon battle. The Ho-Oh, obviously a reference to the first episode of the anime, I do know that much.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I was wondering if that was in the original movie. But it's kind of weird that they use a Ho-Oh with a camera collar. Like, I know that I think the second Pokemon movie is about Ho-Oh, but that just raises all sorts of questions. Like, have Team Rocket tamed Ho-Oh? Have they captured Ho-Oh? Does this make sense if you know the events of the second movie?
I think it's just Mewtwo who's done his thing. And
Oh, sorry,
like...
not Team Rocket. Yeah, I meant Mewtwo. Like I said, my head's all over the place. I've been at Viking for the last 3 hours. But it's I don't know, but it just struck me as weird, and it never comes up again as well. It's like, oh, okay, there's Ho-Oh with the camera collar, but maybe that's just what I get for jumping into the first movie without watching the anime or knowing anything about it. I'm just wondering how much fan service there is and how much they changed from the original movie. But yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of general sort of fan service stuff in there for like the games and stuff. Like a lot of parts in it do feel like very much like gamey almost. Like especially right at the beginning, there's a shot where Mewtwo like blows up that like sort of science place.
Yes.
And then like there's that weird shot of like you see obviously the leader of Team Rocket. I forget what his name is because I know he does actually have a name. Giovanni, that's it. And then like there's that zoom through all the smoke and stuff, and then Mewtwo's just sort of there. But it pans around, makes it like it's just gonna pan around to a third-person camera, and then you're just gonna take control. It's like,
yeah, I guess
that's really weird. Like it felt like that very much like, all right, you're in a game now.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, interesting. Like, oh, you get to be Mewtwo and you just go on a fucking rampage.
I would buy that game.
That would be fun, yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, it kind of reminds me of was it the Dragon Quest movie, Your Story, where it starts looking like the game and like how it boots up and stuff? Or am I thinking of something else?
Yeah.
I know
That's exactly how it starts, yeah. Because it's literally the intro of that movie is the exact same as the intro of the game.
Yeah.
Like it pulls directly from it. It's brilliant.
And I know that one of the Pokemon animated short series on YouTube, not the one I was talking about last time, but a new one. Oh wait, no, it is the one I was talking about last time. It does start off like it's the beginning of Pokemon Red, and then it just kind of becomes like, I think it's the opening cinematic for maybe Pokemon Leaf Green and Fire Red, and then like it transitions from like pixels to like full like animation, and it's like, whoa, look at this, it's Pokemon doing things, fighting and stuff. Okay, Nurse Joy is missing. Oh dang, that was what I put. So obviously I'm at the point in the movie where they've had their picnic, they've had their fight, they've had their invitation, and they've run all the way to. Is that, I forget what, I keep wanting to call it Slateport City, but that's in Hoenn. I always forget what the city, the dockside city, is called.
I don't remember.
It should be named after a colour because that's how Kanto works. But
yeah, I just don't remember.
I think the island that Mewtwo blows up is Cinnabar Island, right?
Most likely, yes. That sounds right.
Poker trivia, everyone. Also, how did you feel about Brock in this movie?
I mean, it's Brock. Like,
she's so pretty.
That's pretty much how he is in the anime. So
yeah, it just feels weirder in this movie for some reason.
It's done like more dramatically for sure.
Yeah.
Like there is a bit more of a like a I don't know what the word is for it, but yeah, it's done a lot more dramatically in this one. But mainly just because I think the animation style is different, so there's just more freedom to do more with it.
She's so pretty. I'm free D. I like that they used his simping as a plot mechanic because he's like, whoa, she's so pretty, and we're like, oh, that's Nurse Joy. He's like, oh yeah. And then later on when we see Nurse Joy, he's like, whoa, she's so pretty, but wait, does that mean? And it's like, Brock, that doesn't mean anything. You think everyone who walks and talks and isn't a male is pretty.
By the way, just to point this out, you've typoed Pokemon in the
oh no.
In the title.
What have I called it? I can't find it. What is it? Tell me, what have I done?
In where it says Pokemon.
Yeah, but I can't see it. I'll have to bring up my stream.
I thought you just like edit it on the thing.
When it's in Streamlabs, it's minimized somewhere. What have I called it? What have I called it? Pokemon. Oh dear.
I want to update that.
Can you update that mid-stream? I've never done that. Oh
yes,
yes,
you can. Yes.
Oh, I see what you mean now.
It splits it up. If you change it, it like breaks it up and stuff.
Oh,
there you go.
so now it's 2 different VODs, is it?
No. If I mean, because you can change like what you're streaming, so it'll say like it'll be like in parts and be like, oh, this and this.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it does that if it detects it. It doesn't always do that though.
Gotcha. Can you tell I'm on the ball today?
Twitch is a bit weird with that stuff. You know, outside of the random DMCA stuff. But we're not going to get into that.
I also put that if I was Ash, because Team Rocket arrive in the boat, don't they, in their disguises, to be like, hey, we can take you to the island or whatever.
That is very much from the anime. Like they were like, they pretty much were just like, we just want to make stuff from the anime as well and make it like canonical in the anime.
I've seen like maybe 10 episodes of the anime, so I'm aware of a little bit of how it works. But yeah, I was just like, if I was Ash, I would not trust anyone with pink or blue hair. Like at this point,
it's just a running gag where they just turn up in a random costume to try and steal their Pokemon.
I wonder if it's a popular fan theory that Nurse Joy is secretly Jessie, because she's got pink hair.
No, Jessie's hair is a lot darker.
Have you ever seen Jessie and Nurse Joy in the same location?
Yeah.
Their names both begin with a J. Have I uncovered a grand conspiracy here?
No, shut up.
Maybe Nurse Joy is just a ditto trying to be Jessie. Anyway, let's move on from that bad bit. Mew is adorable. Did you notice how adorable Mew was?
Is adorable.
Mew. I love him.
Mew is adorable. Like the entire time, like he's just being playful as well.
Yeah. I just want to grab him and hug him. He's so cute. And this is like half of the whole point of Pokemon, right? Is look how cute they are. But I mean, look how cute they are, though. Like
I know,
Pikachu
they're all
as well.
adorable. I think Pikachu is like the reason I love this movie so much in this one for sure.
Yeah.
The fact that he says Pika every time he runs is amazing to me. It's like Pika, Pika, Pika.
It's funny because I was like, Pikachu, he's cute and all, but he's very mainstream, and like this was a few years ago. It's like he's kind of mainstream. He's kind of overdone. I'm not sure I care about Pikachu. And then they started making the games 3D, and I was like, dude, Pikachu's really fucking cute. Holy shit.
He is just a round thing.
He's
with
just
ears
a
and
round
tail.
ball of small cuddleable. I got very invested in the fates of all of these Pokemon in this movie. We'll find it out as... I just took a glance at my notes as I scrolled down, and there's lots of capital letters. I have a question for you, though. So they arrive at Mewtwo's... well, it's not really an island, is it? It's more of like a oil rig-turned citadel thing.
Yeah.
Why
Pokemon Palace, I believe it's called.
Why does he need sewers?
I don't know.
Do Pokemon
That
poo?
was a bit weird. That was a bit weird.
Do Pokemon poo? He's a single Pokemon with a single assistant. Do they need an entire sewer system for the
Unless
two of them?
unless he had some issues dealing with the cloning process, and there were rejects.
Oh, now that's an interesting lore explanation. I guarantee is not why sewers exist.
Yeah,
it would be cool though. Get some. Get
I know that's not the reason,
Grimers in there. Grimer. I don't know what Grimer sounds like. But
Grimer is like the smaller one. Muck is the big one.
Muck. One of my favourite things about the anime is that they just say their names instead of doing the Pokemon cries in the games. They just say their names.
I think Blastoise is my favourite just because he's just like Blastoise.
Dude, I have notes about that. Actually, my very next note is just Blastoise in big capital letters. That made me chuckle so much.
I like how I think the Pokemon just interacting with one another was pretty fun though.
Yeah.
Because that whole the part where they actually get there and like all the various Pokemon and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all adorable.
Sorry. For those of you who don't know, I fucking love Bulbasaur so much. He's the best. So whenever I saw him in the movie, I was like, that's a slight approximation. I have a Bulbasaur plush on my bed. He's winking. He's called Cabbage. He's a very good boy. So I get happy when I see Bulbasaurs. And then obviously we also got Venusaur in there too. Venusaur's fine. Venusaur's okay. They don't look so cute when they grow up though, do they?
But it's like a big doofy frog.
I do like the way he runs as like a big doofy frog as well, at least in the games. I like how they used Gyarados and Hyper Beam to showcase Mewtwo's strength, because Gyarados and Hyper Beam famously overpowered. And it's like, oh my god, if Mewtwo can even just deflect Hyper Beam, wow, his power level must be off the charts.
He's such like a Dragon Ball Z character, Mewtwo.
Yeah,
like they were just like, what if, and like I guarantee like them create like the guys at Pokemon making Mewtwo were just like, what if more anime?
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if when they were designing Mewtwo, they took inspiration from Dragon Ball, because it was popular at the time.
He's definitely got that feel of him, of like that kind of character, like very shonen kind of character. Yeah,
exactly. I liked when Team Rocket reached a cloning center, and
that I remember very well from the original. Actually, that's a very similar sort of scene.
Oh yeah, that's something I was going to ask you. Does Mewtwo have a citadel in the original? Because I saw the
don't
famous
remember
scene,
specifically,
and it looked like it was in a
I remember
cavern.
there is some sort of I remember there is some sort of like area that he's in, like a citadel or something. But I don't know if it looks exactly the same as that, or looks like anything close.
Yeah, I swear the original scene where Ash gets, spoiler, turned to stone happens in like an underground cavern or something, if I remember, because I did watch that once by itself. I was curious.
I forget specifically. I'm gonna have to go back and like double check, but I don't remember it too much. I remember a lot of the actions and stuff. Like I remember the staircase really well, and I remember the weird eye Pokeballs.
Oh god, they're creepy. But yeah, like I was saying, I like when Team Rocket get there and Meowth gets a hair plucked. And I thought it was just really cute when he showed up on the screen and they were like, "Who's that Pokemon?"
Pokemon, yeah.
It's Meowth! I was like, oh, that's cute. Little throwback to the advertisement break.
Yeah, I just love stuff like that. It's just like little bits here and there.
Oh, I need to continue my watch through of Indigo League.
Meowth,
like 10 episodes.
can I just say, Meowth in this one sounded a lot more Bostonian.
I was gonna say the voices
like
for
he sounded
Team
like
Rocket,
he was from Boston.
The voices for Team Rocket specifically sounded different to what I remember.
I think all the voice actors were different. They were all very different. But I think they did a good job. Honestly, they were clearly trying to recapture like around the sort of similar voice of those characters, and I think the voices fit the characters fine. So it wasn't really like a taking me out of it kind of situation. I think it was quite good.
That reminds me, I'm going to try watching the anime in Japanese if they have it on Netflix and see if I prefer it subbed, because it's just always been available dubbed because it's so big here. It's just like a mainstream thing.
Yeah.
But
I will say I was going to say the voice actor for Ash did sound female as well, which I think was interesting, because that's something they do a lot in Japan, is for like a younger male character they use a female voice actor.
It's just been done a lot in a lot of things, like for instance Bart Simpson's a female female voice actor, and then like if you really want to get like crazy about it, back in Shakespearean days they would use, wait, am I getting this right? They would use girls for the parts of young boys or something.
I remember that being a thing. That's the thing they did. They reference stuff like that if you ever watch what's it called, Phantom of the Opera, because that's based in I think it's like 18th century or something, 19th century, I can't remember. But like they do a lot of play, because obviously it's about an opera house, and one of the characters ends up playing a male, a young boy, and she's a woman. So that's definitely something that's done for sure.
So the next note of mine is all in capital letters. Do you remember when Do you remember when Mewtwo was talking about Pikachu and he was like, he's pathetic? I was like, don't call Pikachu pathetic! How dare you? I got very invested. Just so rude. But I like how the clone Pokemon had like tattoos on them so that you can differentiate them. But it's just like it kind of made me wish that I could give my Pokemon sick tats in my like Sword and
That
Shield
was
game.
something that was in the. Yeah, that was something that was done in the original as well.
Oh really?
I remember that quite well from that.
Wouldn't it be cool if they gave out like, because nowadays in Pokemon you can have different forms of the same Pokemon. Like for instance, in the Pokedex, instead of just going up and down, you can also go left and right if a particular Pokemon has different forms, like a Galarian form or something like that.
That was one of my favorite things they added in, because it was Sun and Moon. They started adding that, didn't they?
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite things they added because it made it so much more interesting.
It might have started in X and Y, but just like so you can see the Mega Evolution when you go left and right and stuff like that. But like, for instance, nowadays it's not just like regional based either. Like they recently did an event which I believe is still claimable, where you can get, I think it's a total of 8 different Pikachus, all wearing one of Ash's hats from each region he went to, because he had a different hat for each region. I think I still need to claim the last 2 of those, so I better get on that. But yeah, stuff like that. So I think it'd be really cool if they did like an event where they gave out like a variant of like Blastoise with his tattoos and stuff. That would be really cool. But I guess if they were ever going to do that, they would have done that when this movie came out, and they didn't do that.
Came out,
to the best of my
this one
knowledge.
came out last year, so
Yeah, I wonder if they'll remake more Pokemon movies. Because
I mean, it depends. It all depends on the success, honestly, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I know this
Pokemon as a franchise has more money than God, so
yes, they do. But I know this got a lot of flack, but then that was just on Twitter. I don't know what the actual critical reception was. I just know a lot of people are like, oh, you'll never recapture the spirit of the original. Like, shut the fuck up. You haven't even seen it yet. Give it a chance.
yeah.
But yeah, sorry, that stuff makes me angry.
Yeah, it does, because it's. But I mean, for one, people are trying to do something interesting with a story that's already been told.
It's not like they're just re-releasing it with like HD version of the original animation. It's like they're actually, trying something new art style and all that.
They're talking as if 3D animation is easy. I mean, and it is easier than the 2D animation that the original was based on.
I mean, to be fair, this is no Pixar, but still, it's.
Oh, it looks amazing, no?
Yeah, it does.
I think it looks very good.
Yeah.
And the Pokemon look fantastic in it.
Yeah, I mean, Bulbasaur, dude. Mew.
Yeah,
Pikachu. They're so cute. I want to hug them. Anyway, welcome to the podcast episode where we just, what's the word? I don't want to say simple. Get out of my head, you stupid meme language. Where we just gush about Pokemon. That's basically what this was an excuse for.
But people do genuinely use that as an insult. So.
Oh well. I don't like how they referred to, or was it Mewtwo? He referred to Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander as the free Pokemon that anyone can get. Excuse you? Have you tried getting every starter Pokemon? I mean, nowadays it's easier because of Wonder Trade and stuff, but like back in the day,
I think that was more of a reference to the anime.
I know, but like they're literally not out in the wild at all. Like, come on, they're rare. Yeah, shut up.
Because in the anime, like those are the 3 Pokemon like you get to choose from.
Yeah.
But the plot of the anime is that he, for some reason Professor Oak doesn't have them, but he has a Pikachu, which then he gives to Ash.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I have a Pikachu. You can have that instead.
Yeah. You almost sounded like Aaron Hansen's Professor Oak voice, where he's just like an old man. He's confused. He doesn't.
Oh,
I have this Pikachu. Love that grump. I hate when I write notes and then I forget the context for them, because apparently I had flashbacks to Game of Thrones during the Charizard fight, but I don't remember why. Oh, because it was 2 Charizards up in the clouds.
Because they were flying around.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. So, I mean, I'm kind of skipping over the plot because all of my notes were very reactionary. I need to start thinking outside of notes at some point in this podcast. But, like, I don't know, we get to the point where Mewtwo's like, oh, he captures all the Pokemon, doesn't he? And then he makes clones out of them. And then all the clone Pokemon are like, oh, and they're like walking out and they're being all foreboding and Venusaur and Blastoise. It's like, all of these Pokemon. Do you like my rendition of the film? I think it's better than the actual film.
It's a good synopsis.
Thanks. So yeah, that's what we skipped over there, and then Ash saves them, and then they all very politely, I must say, they very politely walk out onto the courtyard, into their respective areas of the original Pokemon and then the clone Pokemon, don't they? I did like how as well how dedicated Ash was to saving Pikachu from the ball. Like, I skipped over that as well, but like he literally just dives into that chute not knowing where it will lead, and I was just like rooting for him the entire time, like, yes Ash, get him.
That's something that he does. That's something he does in the original as well.
Yeah,
it's a very similar sort of thing where he dives down the thing. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Although Misty and Brock just kind of like, the next time we see them, they just stood outside. So I'm wondering what went through their minds. Like, well, I guess Ash just fucking died. All right, never mind.
Well, he's dead.
Foreshadowing.
I think one of the things that always bothered me when I was a kid as well, like specifically with Misty and Brock, is they're gym leaders. Why are they wandering around?
Yeah, it is a bit weird, isn't it?
It always bothered me as a kid. It's like, they're gym leaders, what are they doing?
I'll join you on your Pokemon journey. And then like cut to everyone trying to get into the gym, and it's just closed because the gym leader's pissed off. It's like, oh, well, I guess no one else can continue their Pokemon journey now. Although, isn't it meant to be like there's like hundreds of gyms in Kanto, but like it's just like those are the ones that Ash visits are the ones that you see in the game or something like that.
I don't know, I can't remember.
I don't know how it works. There's a whole lot of things about the Pokemon universe that if you think too hard about it becomes like, wait, what?
Wait, he's perpetually 10.
Ash,
so.
Ash, what's in those burgers? What are you eating? Anyway.
Forest meat.
No.
This just reminds me of an old animated that Aaron did back along. He used to do it in Awesome series, which basically just parodies
of
various things.
I've seen some of those.
Pokemon. I mean, Venusaur.
Aaron Hansen's getting a lot of mileage on our podcast today. He should pay us for
He's a good grump. He's a good grump.
He should pay us, given how much exposure we're giving him right now for free. I think.
I know, right?
Like, you know, any compensation.
This podcast is sponsored by Grump.
Hey, he's Grump, and he's the sponsor. Anyway,
yeah.
I thought it was weird that Meowth recognizes that a Pokemon's strength comes from the heart. Team Rocket Meowth.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Meowth, that's right.
What did Team Rocket do again? They try and steal Pokemon. So why does Meowth?
Can I just say, as well, going back a little bit when we talk about Team Rocket, they kind of half-assed their whole little intro to themselves, and I was kind of disappointed. I'm not gonna lie, because I wanted them to do the full spiel.
Yeah.
Because they kind of did it like when they were in the Lapras boat.
Yeah.
And then they were just like, yeah, trouble, make it double, haha. And I'm like, no, do it properly.
Did they do it properly in the original? Do you remember? Or?
I think so. That's just the thing they did, though. Like it was always like a gimmick. Their whole gimmick was they would turn up in a costume for a bit, and then when their cover was blown or when they would reveal themselves, they'd do that whole thing. They'd stand heroically up on a cliff high above them or something while doing it, while James holding a rose, and you know.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm confused as to why Team Rocket Meowth understands. Although, to be fair, after I saw the end of the movie and I realised that Mewtwo wiped everyone's everyone's memories of what just happened, maybe Team Rocket were learning stuff in that movie, but then it got wiped from memories and they became villains again afterwards. But I was like, wait, of all the characters you could have to be being like, well, actually, a Pokemon's strength comes from the heart. Like, that was weird. And then I liked when James said, wait, I wrote this note wrong. What? We told others to prepare for trouble, but I wasn't prepared for this. Or we tell others to prepare.
Yeah.
Good lord. Guys, I'm sorry, I don't think this is my best podcast episode. I can't even speak. I keep tripping over my words.
How
misunderstanding my notes. I'm not in a game. I'm not in a game right now. It's really. I'm sorry.
That's not very Pokemon of you, I must say.
That's not very Ultra Ball of you. That's not very
Good ball.
Quick, use a max revive on him.
Anyway.
So we got to the part of the movie where all of the Pokemon are fighting each other, and it's very sad.
Oh, I hate that part so much. Because I know what follows as well.
Yeah.
So I was tensed. Because I was like, no, I hate this. Stop it.
And they were just like they're headbutting each other and they're tail slapping each other, and then it gets really sad because it just goes on, and they get tireder and tireder.
Can I just say what I really like about that is like a lot of them were just like things headbutting each other, and then it cuts to like the Scythers and they're having like a full on like sword fighting duel, and I'm like, oh right? Shit.
I was like, fuck the others, I want to see this duel. This looks amazing.
Like it was the most like anime out of all more because everyone else just headbutt each other, and then it was just like.
I mean, you cut to the Gyarados and it's just like
slap,
tail slap, and then like they just look at each other for a bit and then tail slap.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, they did capture the essence of like when you see two really big animals in the wild fighting, where they kind of like they're locking horns and stuff, and like they're just kind of pushing heads for a bit, and then they do another move. So
going back a little bit, I just wanted to point out as well, one of the main sort of parts of the movie that I remember was the spiral staircase part.
Yeah, the helix
staircase. Running up it.
Yeah.
That I remember quite well from the original. That was a point where I was like, when I was watching it, that was a point where I was like, man, they really like did a lot of work like to kind of recapture a lot of the original stuff. And obviously where he's running up and then he electrocutes all the balls to make him drop, and then he keeps running.
Yeah, and he's like, he's running out of breath, and then Pikachu, and then he runs out of breath, and the movie does a really good job of making you like be like, no, go on, you can do it, go on.
Yeah.
Even though you know what's about to happen, no, carry on. You're really rooting for them. Speaking of Pikachu, though, the Pikachu slap fight out of all of them was the saddest.
It wasn't really a fight. It was just one Pikachu was taking it, and the other one was just slapping him.
Yeah. I was like, no, stop!
It was so upsetting.
And the Pikachu who's slapping him doesn't even look like he's having a good time either. He's just like, I've got to win. I've got to win. And no, we're friends. We're both Pikachus. You don't have to hit me. It's like, no. Oh, I mean, Pikachu, going more seriously though, Pikachu is like a case study in how you can build a character around something that just says one word, because it's all about expression and emotion and action and
interaction
really
with other characters as well.
Yeah,
like
and
how they're reacting to certain things and
just
like idle stuff as well. Like one of the things I love to do when I used to watch the anime as well when I was younger was watching the background Pokemon, and Pikachu has by far always been the most animated one, just doing random shit in the background. And a good example of that in this film was when they got the invitation, and he was holding the little thing at the bottom, and he was like wiggling it around and like playing with it and stuff. Like he wasn't the focus of the shot; he was just at the bottom. But like you could just see him like wiggling it around, like looking at it, and be like, "Oh, what's this?"
Yeah, he's you can tell they definitely put the most amount of effort into him. But that doesn't mean that the others aren't also like loved and shown and stuff.
But like obviously Pikachu's the mascot, so obviously he gets a bit more love. But
it's like how Tracer gets all those skins in Overwatch.
Yeah.
My next note is just no in capital letters, so we've reached that part of the movie.
God. Why I love like the lead up to that, by the way, it's just Mew just sort of turns up and it's like, and then just starts having a good time.
What's that? Oh, Mew.
Mew just sort of turns up at that point, and then Ash is like, oh, hello.
Yeah, everyone's just like, oh, Mew.
And then makes another bubble, and they're just sort of bouncing around, just having a great time. And
yeah.
It's like, Mew is adorable, but this is the worst possible time.
And then Mewtwo is like, no, don't you see? We have to fight. Nihilism. Oh no, it's last week's podcast all over again.
For the fucking destructive this game. That's not even the right move, but that's about all I know about Dragon Ball Z.
I thought it was interesting just how much danger Ash is in. Like,
oh yeah,
like damn, that
it
kid's
really
in trouble.
that's something that's really well done in this one, because it's kind of like, you know, because of the animation style and everything in the original, it's kind of like, oh, I guess he's in danger, but like, you know, it's,
I'm in
it's not
danger.
going. But in this one, they're like, yeah, Ash could like die right now.
Yeah. It's like, go off on your adventure with Pokemon. Don't worry though, Pokemon don't harm humans. Which I always thought was weird, because it's like, well then why am I not allowed to go into a tall grass without a Pokemon? What's going to happen to me? It's like, they just fight each other. They don't fight humans. By the way, Ash fucking dies.
Yeah, he just straight up fucking dies for like 3 minutes.
Yeah. And it's like, oh damn.
So that scene always gets me.
Yeah.
And it got me even more this time because Pikachu was crying and they hurt my boy and I couldn't stand for that. I was literally I was literally watching it last night and I was just curled up on my chair and I was upset. I was not happy. I was not okay.
I was also not happy. I was also upset. I also had emotions and feelings, and I was like, "What have I done? You tried to warn me."
I did. I tried to
I even
warn you.
knew about this scene, but like, I was like, "It'll be fine." It was not fine.
It's so much worse in this one.
Because like they animate his tears and stuff, and there's just a full body shot of him looking down at Ash, and then he tries to wake him up. Pika Pika Pika.
That stuff they did pull it very well as well, because the part where he's trying to electrocute him on his own, he gets more and more tired, like as he's trying to do it.
God, it's so
but, like,
sad.
he keeps doing it.
Yeah.
That's something like the shots and stuff they used for that was very similar to what they did in the anime as well. But like it zoomed out to like the spectators and like you can still hear him like trying.
Yeah.
Chill.
Oh, so sad. But yeah, that's a very famous scene. Like I said, I've seen it. It was posted on Facebook once, and I just watched through it, and I was like, oh damn. And I think they recreated it very well here. Like you said, it's almost more effective. Pokemon used Heartbreak. It's super effective. And then all of the tears of all of the Pokemon brought him back to life. And Reese,
Yay!
my tears helped too. My eyes were legitimately watery during that scene. I was like, no, take my tears.
I don't care if it doesn't make sense.
Well, it's Pokemon, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Pokemon.
And they're talking about, like, the whole theme of the movie is that power comes from love, not from genetics. And that's like the moment where it's like, well, yeah, like they have the power to use a max restore on Ash. And then Mewtwo's just like, huh, guess I was wrong. Okay, bye.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, he says that famous quote, which I've seen so many times I pretty much know it off by head, where he says, because I haven't even written it down, but he says something along the lines of, I see now that it's not the circumstances of your birth that determines who you are, it's what you do with the gift of life, or something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty much spot on.
Yeah, and that's one of the most shared quotes, I think, on Facebook.com.
Yes.
But I mean, it's a good quote.
It's good, but it's good if not overused.
Yeah.
But like, taking away from that, taking it away from that whole like Facebook part of that though, one of the things that does bother me is there is that cynical sort of side to these kind of things, with regards to how often it's posted or said or used or whatever. And it's like, yeah, you may have heard it 100 times, but it still means the same thing.
That's the thing, right? Like, I've noticed
it's very cynical.
People have started to say, oh, here comes the Miyamoto quote whenever a game's delayed, but it's like, yeah, fucker, it's still true. It doesn't matter that it's happening a lot.
It's such a satirical way of looking at things, for sure. And it doesn't matter if you've heard it once or 1,000 times, it still is the same thing. It still means as much as it did the first time.
Yeah.
That's why I like idealisms. What's the word? Fuck.
I know the word, but I don't know how to say the version of it.
Is it idioism or something like that? I don't know.
I can put it in the chat.
I don't know, but
idiosms.
Either way,
I think it's idiosms.
But like, I just like them because it's like very simple ways of looking at something, and you understand it. Like it's a very simple way of being like this, but this, and it's like, okay,
you know,
it's a perfect it's a perfect way of like just language in general, and how language is a very powerful thing, words and all that stuff.
I can kind of link this back to Assassin's Creed Valhalla in a way.
Hooray!
There was some lore. It wasn't in the Valhalla part of the game, to be fair. It was in the modern setting, but there was some lore about Desmond and all that, and how he was talking about that. If it doesn't entirely fit into what we're talking about, but he was saying if you are raised under a belief, and it just gets drilled into you, you don't really have the chance to learn it for yourself. So like, it's important to. How do I tie this back to what we're saying? It's important to realise that, like, saying the same thing over and over is important, but, like, you kind of have to... If you just do the same one over and over, I guess it gets stale, and that's probably where the cynicism comes from, if you know what I mean. I don't know, I think that's a counterpoint to what you're saying.
It's like the whole, I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah.
Eye roll, you know?
But it's like, then you watch the movie, and you see Ash get turned to like sparkly parts. They didn't do the full on grey stone this time round. They just they just made him sparkly. But
yeah, like a way sheen to him.
But yeah, then you watch the movie and the message sinks in that much more. So I think even though it's a really potent message, when it does just get taken out by itself and posted around Facebook every week, people kind of fail to see the greater
I think
context.
Yeah, exactly. I think the idea is context. In that it's like it's like a moral of the story kind of deal, you know, like these things out of context don't work unless there's a story attached to them. You can say them over and over and over, but when there's nothing attaching to it, to almost like an example to make the person go, oh yeah, I guess that, okay, now I understand. Whereas if someone's saying it over and over, it's like, all right, whatever, I've heard this before, what are you on about?
I should mention very quickly as well, for anyone who might misunderstand, for the Desmond thing, that's not a spoiler, it's just an audio recording of something he said years ago. Because I've had that thing before where someone said something that isn't a spoiler, but I didn't have the full context of the story, so I was waiting the entire time for something to happen that would never happen. I was like, I misunderstood the twist, and I spent the entire story waiting for something to happen.
That's one of the things we've said about spoilers, is I don't mind too much as long as I have the context to learn it. Like, I still got to learn the context of the spoiler. It's like saying, oh, this character dies. It's like, okay, well, fair enough.
Great.
But, you know, I don't know the context, so I'm still going to watch it.
I think my favourite thing about Marvel Comics, to take us off in another random direction, is death basically means nothing at this point. Every character is always brought back. So when I hear that a character has died in the comics, I'm just like, I want to learn how they died, what the circumstances were, how that happened, if it was an interesting read, and then when they inevitably get brought back, how does that happen as well? You know, like, it's not just a spoiler that's the important
part. The storytelling loop, I guess, would be with that kind of thing. There is obviously a loop with that kind of thing, which is interesting. With this is continuing on this tangent, so I'm gonna just go with it. But which is interesting, like thinking of the Marvel Universe from the cinematic side of things as well, because that's very definite. It's very specific and very definite, so everything that happens will stay that way. Unless they do go full comics, and then we end up like 100 films later, or 100 film series, books, whatever later, games. But I think it's really interesting, like comparing the two for sure, like comparing the context. Like, I mean, you can compare this back to Pokemon very easily. I love the idea that obviously with Marvel Comics it is very like random and anything can happen. I mean, the what if stuff is pretty much what the comics are as a whole, technically. Except they were just like, let's be a bit more crazy and weird. Like, let's take the established characters and change those established characters like in a crazier way, like crazier than normal. And then the movies are like, all right, we're gonna work out our own version of these things tied loosely to the source material. It's almost like I like Pokemon because it's almost the opposite of like the games came first, and then they had to make something of a story from it almost, because let's be honest, Pokemon as a story, like from the game's perspective, is non-existent. I mean, less so now. No,
nowadays it's more built on
there's
story.
There's more involved and there's more to it.
I would actually argue that it's got a better story than the anime, because the anime is just cyclical. Ash learns. I mean, to be fair, like I said, I haven't seen the anime, but apparently, I know. Because it's
designed
for
for
kids.
children.
Because it's for kids. It's very restricted. Like, I'm not saying it's young adult. I'm saying it's literally for kids. It's like young adult fiction can be really complex and interesting. This is a little bit more simple.
This is why I loved Detective Pikachu, which I'm not going to go too much into, but they deal with some more adult themes in that, which I think is brilliant and really interesting to see that context in like almost like a real world Pokemon scenario.
Yeah.
It does it really well, I think. It was really interesting to see, and why it's done so well, because it's obviously all the people that grew up with Pokemon are older now, and then obviously they've grown up, and having the context shift to something a bit more of a higher sort of age group. Obviously the film's designed so it can be watched by kids as well, but like there's context stuff in there that is more adult themed and things, which is interesting, and I love how they did that. I mean, that's why I'm enjoying, like, going back to Marvel, what they've done with like the Defenders and stuff like that. Still need to get back into watching Daredevil. I haven't finished it yet. But like they took like these ideas of the comic that might have been a little bit darker and just rolled with it and just went with it. And these are the things that the kids probably won't see, that are loosely tied to everything, but it's still part of that universe, and it scratches the itch of people that may want something a bit darker or a bit more gritty. Because fucking DC ain't doing it.
Well, I mean, they're trying to, but not very well.
Yes, there. That's what. Sorry, DC aren't doing it well.
Yeah. Oh, I
mean,
see.
That could change, though.
I focused on the wrong part of your sentence. Yeah. I know we've gone wildly off tangent, but I'm just kind of letting it happen because we almost wrapped up talking about the movie way too early.
I mean, this movie is very simple in what it is, because it is a kids movie.
Yeah.
So I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Because it was very easy just to sort of blast through it, because it's not overly complicated. It's not something you pick apart as a result of that. So it's just a good time.
I mean, you could do
until
this.
It's not, and then it is.
You could do a big message about how Mew represents everything that Mewtwo isn't, in that he's more childlike and happy, and he's all about love, but Mewtwo is more about, oh no, genetics and power.
Alright, if we're fucking getting into this, it's the whole nature versus nurture thing.
Yes!
My dude.
Oh, go on.
Obviously, Mew is a free-spirited character, whereas Mewtwo is like stuck in having been created specifically to be a thing and created by people, and as a result, his disdain for such things, like, who am I? What am I?
Yeah, the beginning of this movie is surprisingly existential, where he's just like,
it's very
why have I been made? You know, like, it's like, oh damn.
I just can't help but think, like, where they were like, oh, you come from Mew, and it's like, are they mother, my father? I was thinking, oh, yeah, this is very existential.
Yeah. And then it's like, hard cut to Ash at a picnic. It's like, oh.
Yeah, it's so strange, like the tone of this movie, like, and then once it follows the main people, it's like, all right, well, that's the tone of the movie from now on then.
Yeah. But they definitely make sure that, you know, you understand where Mewtwo's coming from, and like I said, like, even though it's like not necessarily young adult, it's more aimed towards kids, they always make sure to have a story in there for, like,
yeah.
I mean, I was going to say for adults, but like, people underestimate how much kids think and understand as well. Like,
yeah,
you forget when you were a kid you were thinking about this kind of stuff. Maybe not in the same terms, but you were still thinking about it.
So one of the things I always appreciate with like shows like this, and like or movies and shows like this, because it's the people behind these things are very intelligent to make something that is designed for children, but also have enough context and information in there to keep someone who's older interested.
Yeah.
Because there's gonna be like so many like parents or like older siblings that are watching these things with younger kids, like their children or their siblings or whatever, and like they're not going to be interested in this, but like putting enough intrigue in there for them without jeopardizing the children's movie or show or whatever, it must be very difficult.
It's like,
and it is very cool to see people do it so well, and it's honestly bravo. Like, it's incredible to see.
It's like when it's the idea of you're watching a kid's movie on the telly with your family, and you're like, I'm not really watching the movie. But then you realise that you've been staring at the screen for 45 minutes, and you're like, oh, I'm invested in this movie. What the fuck?
Yeah.
It's important to get that. But they don't say kids movies are kids movies. They say they're family movies. They're all audience movies.
Yes, for sure. Cause it's just like, and I feel like people like us as well who are really into animation and stuff and really enjoy watching animation. It's obviously it's kind of cheating a little bit for us because we'll watch it because it's animated well. But yeah, I remember like there was a show back when I lived with my entire family. Obviously, I had a lot of younger brothers. I was the oldest, and one of the shows they would watch was a show on Cartoon Network called Chowder, and it was like a whole like food themed show, and it was really weird and wacky and dumb. But there was a lot of like humor in it, which was like pun based, and it was really clever, and it made me laugh so often because it was just random. It was like that random humor out of nowhere, kind of unexpected humor, or like just like the repetitive kind of like thing. Like I remember a specific joke. One of the first times like I think I'd experienced like a pun of this nature was one of the characters was really excited about something, and then someone responded by like, all right, hold your horses. And then it cuts back to the character, and he's holding two tiny little horses under his arms, and they're going no, and he just stood there blank faced. And
that's great.
It killed me.
I mean, my example probably skews a little bit younger, but I mean, Hey Doggy is a legitimately amazing show. I love when my nieces come over, or I guess used to come over, and watch Hey Doggy, because I'm just like, do you want to watch Hey Doggy? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, you do. And then one of my nieces once was like, I think you want to watch Hey Doggy. And I'm like, no.
I mean, I think the main thing I watched, like, because I had my youngest brother at the time, he's not my youngest brother anymore, but he used to watch a lot of SpongeBob. It's one of the reasons I like SpongeBob is because I watched it alongside him, and I actually enjoyed it as well because a lot of the humor in it was really good.
I used to tell my dad he laughed at all of the wrong places in SpongeBob, and then I went back and rewatched SpongeBob and went, oh wait, oh wait, no, I get it.
It's the same thing though. It's like unexpected. I think that's my favorite thing. Is like the unexpected, subverting expectations based humor, which is why the current show the guys from Auntie Donna did a show on Netflix, which is really good, and I watched it last night, and it was very fun. For that similar kind of reason, just throwing that in there because that's relevant to me right now.
I don't know anything about them, but I've seen the trailer, and I'm just like, I don't know what this is, but it's completely weird and abstract, and it's making a lot of really serious, boring people angry, so I love it.
I've showed you some of their work before. The Bigoted Bill and
it's them.
Taking the Register as well was another one of theirs. Other person taking the register. Person taking the register? Here.
Oh, that, yeah, them.
Yes. Good.
I didn't realise it was them. Interesting.
I think my favourite joke from that was like, my dad looks expectantly across the room to see an empty chair.
God. Bringing it back to Pokemon though, there's a part in the movie at the end where Mewtwo says his inspirational quote and then flies off, and he takes all of the tattoo boys with him. And I like when Squirtle flew off as well, and he was like, Squirtle? Squirtle! 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 What's happening to me?
Yeah.
Also, Clone Pikachu was like, bye, sorry I beat the shit out of you, okay, we cool, bye. Did you notice Clone Pikachu had slightly different
ears?
Yeah.
Yeah. He had like spiky ears, and then normal Pikachus were like flat, sort of like lines.
Yeah. Do you know how to tell a male and female Pikachu apart, friend?
By their tail.
Yes. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And then I said, yeah, it probably is best to wipe the memory of a 10-year-old boy who died and came back from the dead.
Yeah, probably.
Probably a mercy. Even though when he came back, he was just like, huh, I'm okay now. I like to think that there was some sort of deep and existential dread.
It's just like hard cut to him like 10 years later, and he's just like,
I drink,
like drinking heavily, and oh god.
And then my next note was, well, that was a good crime.
Yeah.
Also, what's the context for this again? where he was just really high up in the air, and he was just like, this was, yeah, I don't know why this is so far down in my notes, but when Mewtwo was doing the trainer battles, two Pokemon really high up in the air, and then Mewtwo just says, use seismic toss, and he just gets fucking dunked into the ground, like,
just fucking dunks him. Yeah,
I was like, oh, that's brutal. I think for some reason some of my notes here are at the bottom when they should have been in the middle. For instance, I yelled, I want to hug Pikachu, and then also, did Ash just try to punch Mewtwo? That must have been in the hall scene. So
yeah.
And then leave Mew alone, angry face. And and finally, I love that Mewtwo's super serious existential crisis was being argued against with just Mew 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 smiley face. You don't understand. What is life? What is the nature of living? I was created by humans. And then Mewtwo's like, Mew 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 Mew.
Yeah, pretty much.
I agree with Mew.
But yeah, I just love the little cutaways of Mew, like flying around and stuff.
He's fun. The best, isn't
he?
When
he's messing with the little like windmill, and he sits on it, and then he slowly slides off of it.
I love that. Man, I always just viewed Mew as like, oh, he's like really mythical and rare, and that's cool. But now whenever I see him in game, I'm just gonna be like, look at him.
You will be mine.
The reason he's good in the games is because he can learn any type move, but you know. Now I realise it's actually because he's an adorable boy.
He is an adorable boy, you are correct.
Even though he's technically genderless because he's legendary.
And
he's gonna hug him. And he's basically just a flying naked cat.
Yeah.
I've never really considered that before, but that's what he is. And
he's very cat-like, yeah.
I watched... Okay, so now's a good place to talk about this, actually, but I watched a really, really long, like, 2-hour lore video of the Pokemon games, which was, like, chronological order, the lore from the beginning of time to where we are now.
Right.
And it's one of the most confusing videos I ever watched, and it actually made me dislike the story a bit. Because they were like, there's multiple universes, and I was like, okay.
Yeah,
no.
One of the issues with that is they go back and forth a lot.
They were like, it's worse than that. They were like, there are multiple universes. I was like, okay. And they were like, and that's just one reality. In the other reality, there's also multiple universes. I was like,
Jesus Christ.
Alright.
It's worse than the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Good lord. Not cinematic, sorry. Marvel comic book universe.
But yeah, it was basically just like... And this was just all fan theory stuff anyway, not really officially. It's never really been officially put together. And my favourite thing was at the very end of the video, they were like, and that leaves us with Pokemon Sword and Shield. We don't know where Gigantamaxing fits in with the rest of it, so we're going to call it a third reality. And I was just like...
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Alright. Okay.
That's like the whole, almost like, there's things in certain franchises or certain series or like books or whatever, well, they'll use a thing that's almost like a get out of jail free card. Like before I watched Doctor Who, I heard a lot of people being like, oh, so the sonic screwdriver's just there to avoid plot points, and I'm like, I mean, it's not. Now that I've watched it, that's a bit of a shit way to look at it.
Well, they almost gave him a red setting which could let him zap through walls, so I'm glad they didn't do that in the end.
Yeah. But like, I just love, there's always like something in these that's like, it's just a cop-out almost, but like,
yeah,
I don't mind them as long as they make sense in the universe.
Yeah.
But like being like, dimensions, ooh, it's like, right, but how do those dimensions come about? How do you even perceive them? How do you know about them? Is it just like, why not just say they're just completely separate from each other and leave it at that?
Yeah.
Like,
I think
what's the wrong with not? Why does everything have to be connected?
I think the main issue with multiverses stuff in Pokemon is I've never really played the end of Sun and Moon, but there was a whole bunch of stuff where the legendary Pokemon,
it got weird.
The legendary Pokemon were from different multiverses and stuff like that.
Yeah,
not different multiverses, but different universes.
I remember part of the story where it was like portals and shit were opening up and like weird Pokemon were coming.
I don't think I even got to that point, but yeah,
it was weird. Pokemon looked cool though. That was they were all like cosmic Pokemon. They looked
Ultra
very cool.
Beasts, I think, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I've just started getting them in the Pokemon Sword DLC, and I'm just like, oh, you're weird. like the one I sent you, which is just a giant mouth and tentacles.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
it's like weird, like eldritch monsters.
Yeah, but I forget what my original point was. I was talking about the wider story of Pokemon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched it. Oh yeah, that was it. I watched a giant timeline video on it, and basically in every reality, as far as we know, Mews are just like what Arceus populated the world with. Mew is basically the troll, the World of Warcraft troll, or the I guess real life human. But you know what I mean? Like just like
and then
that's
that
like
just
the native
evolved
creature.
into everything else.
I don't know if it evolved into everything else. I just know that they are basically considered extinct, and that's why Mew is such like a rare mythical Pokemon.
I mean, I can see that making sense because he is very much just like a pink fleshy thing.
Yeah.
Like, there's not much, like, he's just there, kind of like, he's just a thing, like a very sort of clean, like, thing.
Yeah.
You know?
But Mew cute. I wanna grab a Mew, give it a good old cuddle, good old squish. I never considered Mew cute before this movie, but goddamn.
Oh, I always thought Mew was cute.
Well, I guess, as in, I just never considered it cuter than other Pokemon. I just thought, oh, you know, Pokemon are cute, Mew is cute, whatever.
He's not only the most powerful, he's probably the most cutest.
No, that's Bulbasaur.
That's where his power stems from.
No, that's Bulbasaur. But he's up there.
Shut up.
No. No, I'm gonna hug my Bulbasaur now. Hello, Bulbasaur. Give me a hug. Good Bulbasaur, good cabbage. I am an adult.
Use a solar beam.
No! Cabbage, no. I got a Bulbasaur in Pokemon Sword, and I called it Lettuce. I'm keeping up the theme. Even if it doesn't necessarily make sense.
Is the next one cauliflower?
Cauliflower makes sense for like a Venusaur, so sure. I was going to go for broccoli, but...
Broccoli and cauliflower are very similar though, so it works.
So, I guess that's this movie very chaotically podcasted then.
Yeah, I mean, just filling a lot of the space with what works, I guess.
Yeah, and I've still got Viking brain, so again, I wasn't
just
very well
silently
prepared.
screaming in your head.
Yeah. Well, you see, Reese, we only raise the villagers of the people we don't like, and we spare all of the people who aren't soldiers, so it's fine. We're allowed to do it. It's morally fine.
Lieutenant Pillage!
It's really good. It's funny though, because the main character of that game, he's not like, "Grr, I am a Viking." He more talks like this. That's actually a really bad impression of him, but he's a lot more like softer spoken. And like he's blonde as well. I always view I know hair color doesn't really matter, but I always viewed Vikings as like these dark haired, like really dark bearded, like burly beasts of men. And I was like, I'm not sure I'm not sure how I feel about this character. He feels like a Viking light almost. And then I got to the point in the game where they were like, hey, you can change his hair color if you want. And I previewed the dark hair option, and I looked at it for ages, and I went, nope, I like Ivor as he is. And now I really like the character. He's grown on me. Anyway, that was Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Pictures without pictures. Reese, what are we watching next week? Actually, not next week. Sorry, I need to mention this. We're not doing a podcast next week. Reese is learning this right now. I'm working on a Monday.
How dare you?
Can you imagine having to do work on a Monday? I'll be done by like midday, but also I won't have time to like watch a movie, and I'll probably be very tired, so we're not doing a podcast next week. But for the week after, what movie are we going to watch?
Well, allow me to look it up, because I haven't prepared one, because I'm about as unprepared as you are.
I see. But you're not a Viking. You're a guardian. A guardian who uses the powers of the light, right?
Yeah.
He's been playing Destiny 2 while I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
It's been grand.
I'm gonna vamp. For those of you who aren't aware, I got my Xbox this week, and I've been playing lots of that. And it's cool. And it's very good console. It load thing very fast. I booted it up last night, and I was like, I'm gonna play some Forza, and it just immediately quick resumed into a Forza game I had left from like 2 days ago, and I was like, oh damn. It's very
Alright, friend, this is just because I was talking to Molly about and I was doing a really bad Arnie impression, but Terminator.
Oh yes, this is like one of the movies. I've not. This is like one of the movies that I consider up there of movies that
So-
everyone always references and that I should have seen by now. So
It
this is
needs your
perfect
boots,
for this
your
podcast.
clothes, and your motorcycle.
Is it?
Interesting tidbit about the original Terminator. It is. I just checked. Interesting thing about the
So is
original
Doom.
Terminator. Oh my god. Yeah, interesting thing about the original Terminator. That's
What's an
where I get
interesting
my
thing
name
about the original Terminator, Reese?
from. That's where I get my name from.
Oh.
I'm named after Carl Reese.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There you go.
I've known you
There
for
you
all
go.
these years. I can't
That's
believe
where I
you
got my
were
name from.
you were lying to me for all this time. Your name's not
But
Reese,
yeah,
it's
we will
Carl.
be watching. Yeah, we'll be watching that. So this film came out in 1984. by the
Okay.
way.
I look. Oh,
So
so
that's
it's
fun.
so it's
An
written
80s
by-
film.
Written by oh my fucking god. Brain, please. 1984 book. I should know this. I'm an English student, or I was. Oh, so this movie was written by George Orwell. Okay, I think
What?
this is done. This podcast is over. 1984. It's the book he wrote.
Oh yeah, that was the thing that came out. But yeah, it's an 80s film. So there you
We're
go.
gonna be watching Terminator. All I know about Terminator. I'm now
It
suddenly.
gets weird after the third one,
I'm
or
now,
from the third
I'm
one.
now concerned, but I don't know this from Terminator, but somewhere else. Hasta la vista, baby.
That's Terminator 2, my guy. So you.
Well, I was almost right.
Yeah, I guess. But it's fine because after that film they get kind of crap. So.
Prepare for lots of really bad Arnold Schwarzenegger impressions in the next episode of Pictures of How Pictures.
I just prefer. I think that's one of the first things he says. Clothes in your motorcycle. It's one of the first things he says. It's brilliant.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sure Molly will want to watch Terminator with me as well.
Yes.
She loves Terminator. She fucking loves Terminator. Don't you, Molly? She said, mm-hmm.
That sounds like a solid review from me.
A solid review, yeah. Yeah. We'll be watching Terminator, the 1984 Terminator movie.
Cool. All right. Well, I will see you there, and I'm going to mute my microphone and force you to do the outro. Bye.
Oh, well, that's just rude. How could you? You're not muted, you lied to me. I see you over there.
I'm muted on the stream.
Oh, so it means that they don't know. Oh, so I can hear you and they can't. Well, he's saying some horrible things to me right now, and I don't
Reese,
really,
you're such
I
a
don't really
wonderful
appreciate that.
person. I like you so
Oh,
much.
I think I'm gonna cry while I do this outro. Thank you so much for watching or listening to Pictures Without Pictures. Even though it was a chaotic mess, as we already said. So yeah, as Christian already said, break for next week, but the week after we'll be going over the Terminator, the very
Yes.
first one, and yeah, it'll be a great old time. So see you there, and I hope you have a lovely evening.
Oh, he did like an actual proper outro. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.